There was a carver, and his medium was cloud. One breath of cotton was followed closely by another. He could grasp nothing in his hands because everything was spun of gray, white dew and increments of sunlight. He craved the earth below him. He envied the wind around him. The earth sprouted and fed things. The wind hewed and preened them. His relative temporality stung him. He addressed the fullness of the tide. Do you not weep to swell only to fall away at the whim of the moon? To which the tide replied, it is not a lonely science for me. That night he waited till the briny fog tended itself around him. Then he began to harvest, to steal the grains of salt. He mixed the salt with his spittle. He carved the saline spittle with moonlight. At daybreak, a race of salt people went to gather shellfish. They were slow and unfinished beings, and when they moved, you could hear the crystals grinding within them. When the tide turned, the salt people gathered their baskets and walked towards the shore, but the salt people were greedy, incomplete as they were, and were distracted by desirable objects in the sand. One salt person found an oyster shell, and on picking it up, was cut. The wound poured out, and a pile of salt began puddling around them. The tide was swelling again. The tide could smell the stolen brine, and she was furious. She swept up the people, dissolving them to nothing. She confronted the errant people-maker. I envied permanence, said he, to which she smiled, saying, you stole only from yourself. And she turned the cloud carver into a snake. He had no hands now. His creations were now confined to snake tracks in the earth and the peels of dead skin he left behind.